Okay.
For this next thing you have, or are we doing breakout rooms?
Well, we've got breakout rooms at the end that we were going to have for discussing new innovations, MedHub, and if anyone has 145.
Okay, I was just confused there. Never mind. I
Okay.
guess I'm up next for the sub-I rotations.
So this session will be kind of Kim came into it. She'll be discussing sub-interns. We're going to have an open discussion about the importance of social media and websites. And then we will have some breakout rooms for anybody who wants to talk about new innovations. We'll have a breakout room for that. We'll have a breakout room for MedHub. And we'll have a breakout room if anyone other than Kim's program uses 145. We were trying to cover everyone. So you'll be able to choose the breakout rooms when we do that. And they're all named after each of these things. So that's the plan there. And so Kim, you want to go ahead and start with your sub-intern?
Yep. Everybody see my slides?
Yes. It's just a slide view. It's like your PowerPoint view though. It's not your presenter view.
Oh, okay. Hold on. How do you do that?
If you're using two screens, look on the other screen and at the top it says switch or swap presenter view.
I'm using two screens, but it's not over there.
Oh, okay.
Hold
Sorry.
Go to slideshow right there.
Yeah,
And then
there you go.
Yeah.
on. All right.
From beginning, Kim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So this is about sub-I rotations, and this is just, I'm just going to go into what we do. And everybody's different. I realize some places are bigger than others, have a lot more sub-Is coming in, and maybe you're not able to do it like we are, but and I'm off, I'm open to however y'all do it and getting ideas from each other. And basically that's just what this is going to be about, and the importance of it.
And this is where you want to swap. We're seeing your presenter view. So up at the top, it says display settings.
Yeah.
Hit that and then hit swap presenter view and slideshow view.
All right.
There, beautiful. Thank you.
Okay.
My old lady eyes can't see that small stuff.
Okay, I finally got it. All right. So
Thanks.
everybody should be using the VSLO. I don't know if there are people out there that do not go through VSLO, but it's what the students are used to using, because the majority I know do use VSLO. And to my opinion, I think everybody should use this because it's what the AAMC has out there for you to use. And I feel like it's less confusing for the applicants, not having to go to several different places to apply for sub-Is. It should, in my opinion, it should be in one place for all. So if you don't use it, then you may want to consider talking to your program director and see if he's willing to, he or she's willing to do that. So this is just an example of what we have in the elective details. When you actually go in to the electives in VSLO, you can put in the details anything you'd like. Ours just goes into when we start accepting the applications and exactly what we require and the dates and how we go about choosing those. So we ask for a letter of interest. We have added that document to their other documents in there that they have to upload. In the letter of interest, it helps us get a better understanding of, do you have any connections to our division, Augusta University, or even the Georgia region? Why do you want to come to Augusta, Georgia to do a sub-I? To me, I contact the students a month out. I feel like if they're, coming to a strange city, they don't know, or institution they're not familiar with. It just, after the actual application is accepted in VSLO, I just send out an email to them acknowledging them, you know, of their acceptance and providing them further details about the rotation. This is the email I send them. I know it's long to look at, and I have this saved in my documents. I just copy and paste it to every single one of them, and I fill in the date, you know, that we're looking forward to you coming on such and such date, where to go, you know, how I'm going to get them OR and scrub access. I'll have a locker for them. I even give them my cell phone number in case they need me if I'm not in the office. I give them the conference schedule of that month that they're going to be here. If I have it ready at that time, most of the time I don't, but I will send it to them later. And then, oops, sorry. Oops, I did not need to do that. And then it also goes into how we plan to interview them in person while they're here. And we also expect them to give a short presentation, you know, because that's important for them to know. You know, if they've got to give a short presentation in front of our faculty, they need to get started on it, or they need to figure out what they want to do. So giving them time, just giving them all this information up front ahead of time and not waiting till a week or two before they actually get here is important to me. Some of the documents I give them is the same documents I would probably email to any applicant coming here to do a Zoom interview later on in the interview process. I give them our conference schedule, the handbook. I give them the list of all of our faculty and residents and their contact information, so when they're here, they have it. Housing information, where they can stay, which the curriculum office does send that out to them when they approve it. Our social media sites and information about our city, so they can have all this ahead of time before they even get here. The number reason why I do that is just out of courtesy. I don't know if it's a Southern thing or just, I mean, just out of common courtesy. You know, they're coming to a new city. Put yourself in their shoes. You know, I'm going to be going to Oregon in a few months for a sub. I don't have a clue about the city, the hospital, what their procedures are, who is who, and what is what. And if they have all this information ahead of time, you know, it just eases some of their anxiety, I would say, before they get to the rotation. Interviewing in person, we always interview them in person. They're spending a month away from their hospital duties and their money to get here. Obviously, they're genuinely interested in your program, or they wouldn't have applied to begin with. And they prefer it. They do want to be interviewed in person while they're here. At least every student that I've came across, and I've been doing this a while now this way. Actually, we've always done it this way, even before the Zoom. They like it. They want it. They like to have the one-on-one interviews with the faculty while they're here. They get an upper hand over the Zoom applicants because they are here a month. They have known them the whole month. We usually have them sit down and do that after their presentation that they give to the faculty and residents. Actually, we have them do the presentation in their last week that they're here. And then we'll have them interview with each individual faculty member in that last week. And I will set them up on different days because, as we all know, our attendings have busy schedules. They all cannot interview all in one day. So I tell them this ahead of time. Like, before you even get here, you need to bring clothes to interview in. And some days you may be in OR scrubs when you're interviewing, and that's totally fine. They understand, they know. I mean, you're here doing a rotation, everybody's busy, you're working together, and they may pull you aside that day inside to interview you. Just be prepared. Our process for interviewing and scoring, So I interview the faculty before they even get here, right before the rotation starts, all of their information that's in VSLO that they have to download, which is their CV, their scores, their personal statement, their letter of intent, their picture. So they have a picture of who's coming, what do they look like, so I'll know who to expect. Provide all their score sheets in a binder for them. I make them binder. I do not email them the score sheets. I make them a binder. I go ahead and I make all the score sheets for all the sub-Is. I put them in a binder. I said, hold on to this binder. When you get to the next sub-I student the following month, pull out your binder, score them, hold the binder. Don't lose it. Just nobody ever loses the binder. That's why I put it in the binder. I just don't hand them pieces of paper. They hold the binder until it's time to do our final rank list and our and scoring of the applicants. So like I said, they interview them the last week of the rotation. I scheduled them on different days, as I've already went through that. Then when ERAS opens, I send all the sub-I information, their complete application to the faculty. And they will, at that time, they'll revisit their score sheet and finish scoring them basically just off the letters of recommendation in their dean's letters, because they've already had access to their personal statement, their scores, their CVs. They've already went over all of that. They've already had them here for a whole month. So they're pretty set up to do a pretty good score evaluation while they're here. And then they can go back and visit it and finish scoring. And then they give their scores to my program director, and then they're ranked with everybody else. And that's how we do it. I make it very clear to the applicants, you are not forgotten. Just because you're here in July, you're interviewing in person, and we don't even open up until September and October and start interviewing, you will not be forgotten. You have an upper hand over the other applicants because you were here in person. And I do offer them, if they would like to come back and do a Zoom interview as well, if they feel like, if it would make them feel better, then I do offer them that. But I've not had one person come back and tell me they want to do that. And I think it's worked out well. We actually matched 2 of our sub-Is this year. So is proof that it works. But anyway, that's how we do it. And I just wanted to I guess the most important thing I wanted you to get out of this is just having contact with them ahead of time, not the week or 2 before when they're about to start. I think that's just the most important thing to me, is preparing them for their rotation ahead of time. They appreciate it, and I get a lot of positive remarks on that, and continued thank you-ness when they get here. They're so appreciative of me contacting them and giving them the information ahead of time. So I know it makes a difference because, they tell me. So I'm open to anybody that has any questions or wants to talk to me about, give us some ideas about how you do it. And maybe we can learn off of each other. Maybe something I do, I can improve. For instance, the letter I added, the letter of intent. I just added that a couple of years ago. I got that idea from another coordinator off of the emails that were going around one day. I was like, that's a wonderful idea to add that letter in there. So we can always learn from each other, and that's basically what I wanted to try to get out of this little piece of presentation. If y'all learn anything or have anything for me, feel free to ask.
I would just like to add that, especially for the new coordinators, it is required that you offer the rotation students an interview. And however, just like Kim's program does, we do the same thing. We interview them while they're here. But what I do is I offer them the option of either an interview while they're here or an interview when we interview everyone else. And so that's how we do it. We don't offer it at the end. We have them decide at the beginning whether they want to interview in person while they're here. We call it a meeting because it's actually not officially an interview because we're not supposed to interview outside the match. And so we just call it meetings, but they meet for 30 minutes with each faculty member. So that's just, again, a little different than the way Kim does it. We do not, if they take 30 minutes of each faculty member's time, then we don't let them come back for another meeting and take another spot in our interview process. If they don't do that, which we've never had anybody who didn't want to meet in person, because why wouldn't you want 30 minutes with all the faculty versus 15 maximum? 12 is really more like what they get in a virtual or even in-person interview. So, but I agree with Kim too. Giving them information, making contact with them. I actually contact them as soon as I see their application in VSLO. I reach out to them then. I tell them that our medical school who manages VSLO has to manage all of the programs visiting medical students. And so they may not be as responsive as the student might hope. So they can reach out to me at any time with any questions, but that I have looked at their application as long as I made sure that, you know, they're not some reason we wouldn't accept them, but I will let them know that tentatively based on their application, as long as they provide everything that our medical school requires, we anticipate we'll be able to offer them the spot that they want. And I try to give them that information as soon as possible, because that's another thing they want to know. They want to know where I can do a rotation. They don't want to wait until, you know, the whole VSLO process has gone through to find out they're approved.
Right.
Also, giving them this information ahead of time saves us a lot of work and repeated emails back and forth, because they have to constantly ask us for information that they didn't receive. So it helps us
Right.
too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Great.
Kim, can you hear me?
I can
Yes.
hear-
Okay, awesome. Thank you, ladies. Kim, that was awesome, especially the professionalism, soft skills part. That's, yeah, that's something in advisory boards, and I'm still a college professor teaching nurses. That's sometimes very sorely lacking. So it's not just a Southern thing, it's a professionalism thing. So that's awesome. Thank you. But I had the same question about what Stephanie said. Who was the requirement? Someone wrote it in the chat box. And I heard the same thing at the SAU. We're not allowed to interview Subeyes for out of sight of match. So
Sure.
where can we find out what's the, you know, we don't want to violate.
We got
Yeah.
this directly from the SAU. It's okay for your program to meet with them. And
Okay.
because someone rotates with you, you are not obligated to interview them, but you can still consider them for ranking. And we actually contacted the SAU to get this clarification
Okay.
last year. I can probably, I know I have the
Oh, I
email
thought you said we
somewhere.
were required to interview them if they were in Subeye.
No,
So
no,
now it's an
you're
option.
required to offer them the option of choosing an interview. Like if they do a sub-I, it doesn't mean you have to interview them, but
Right.
that they have to let you know, because you don't have to even rank somebody that does a rotation with you,
Subeye. Mhm.
right? You don't have to do that.
Okay.
So you're not obligated to interview them, but you have to let them have the option to be offered that if it's offered to them. I'm probably not explaining well. Read the
Yeah, I think I'm
read
confused.
the SAU rules if you're
Yeah, you don't
confused.
have to interview them. We just do.
Right.
We interview.
We just let them meet with it. But again, I'm very specific. I call it meetings. You're going to have a meeting.
Right,
with
meetings,
this
not an
doctor,
interview.
This doctor, this doctor, and I'm not
Right.
calling it an interview because we are not supposed to interview outside. But
That
as
makes
I say,
sense.
we did check with the SAU, and they are aware that many programs have people that rotate with them who meet with faculty while they're there and then do not interview during the actual interview period.
Okay.
You also do want to remember that those interview rules apply to your rotation people. So in other words, once your interviews start, you cannot be contacting those rotating people anymore. They're a candidate just like anybody.
Okay,
And so you are not supposed to have any contact with the candidate after their
Right.
interviews. So
Right.
for us, as soon as our interviews start, as soon as we get that, we have the day that we send out the invitations, that's my last contact with anybody that did a sub-I with us.
gotcha. And I know someone I think Stephanie, you were just saying this. I just had some training with my College of Medicine on VSLO. So our in-house students, they automatically get those slots for our sub-Is before our VSLO candidates. And I'm seeing Michelle nod, so that's pretty standard. And I understand that they pretty much do manage them, but this whole thing that we're talking about with Kim, they're still in our departments. But some of that technical and academic stuff takes place on that College of Medicine side or the sponsoring institution side, right?
Right.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Okay, but yes, just.
Yeah, you don't have to, like they were saying, you don't have to offer them an interview or even interview them while they're here or meet with them, should I say. That is just what we do. And like I said, that I was just giving you a breakdown of how we do it. Everybody's going to do it different. Some people don't want to interview them while they're there and feel like they should do a Zoom spot. We tend to like to save the Zoom spots for the other applicants, then go ahead and, let them do that in person while they're here. Just like we used to do it before even Zoom came along.
Hey, this is Natasha. Great presentation, Kim. And I really like your idea of providing them all that information basically as soon as they get accepted. So we do not do in-person interviews with our sub-Is just because our program director, first of all, I'm not, and I don't think you're allowed to, but again, Stephanie, please clarify when I'm done commenting.
You're
I
allowed
don't
to
think
meet with them, not interview them.
correct. So we do not do any interviews because we know that is not allowed, but we do offer to have a sit down with Dr. Lamack, who's the vice chair of education, or they can have a meeting, like Stephanie was saying, a meeting with them, but it's not at all set up like an interview. And they are still, if they want to interview, we require them to then interview with our faculty. Now they're automatically accepted if they wish to interview with us after, doing a rotation with us. We let them know, hey, we will be considering you for an interview. You will get an invitation from us once we do that. But they can meet with our people, but they still have to interview with us. Then it has to be during the interview season with everybody else. So that way it's a level playing field among all the other applicants. But that's just what we do.
We also have our sub-Is do a virtual interview and apply during interview season.
Yeah, Nicole, I don't have any contact with, our med school manages that for us too, our curriculum office. They make sure they get all the documents. They send, all I do is go in there and approve them. They'll send them to me weekly, and if there's any there to prove, I'll go in and get the documents, send them to the faculty to approve it, and then go in and approve it. There's really
Interesting.
nothing I have to do for it other than provide them additional information on the program level.
I know everyone is so very different. I know some of us are in charge of our interns. I'm lucky if I even meet them. I literally have nothing to do with them. I might meet them while they're here, and then I have to find out who they are when recruitment season comes around, because I have to treat them differently, meaning I say to them, similar to what you guys have said, thank you for applying to our program. Because you've done a rotation with us, we want to invite you for an interview, but we want you to know you're not obligated to interview with us. We want to make sure you have the freedom to interview with someone else. Our faculty is already very familiar with you. We want you to be able to interview with as many programs as possible. So we kind of give them an opt-in or opt-out for interviews.
Yeah, it sounds like that, you know, there's a lot of different ways to go about these Subeyes rotations. And I'm finding out that, you know, each institution is a lot different.
So
Yeah.
just so everyone knows, I just found the information with the email from the SAU when we covered this. So I just want everybody to be comfortable that, you know, this is not information that people are just kind of making up as they go along. I'm going to actually add it to the email I'm going to send out. I'm going to share it, but just to read you what they say. Programs can offer interviews to sub-interns using the same process they use for all candidates. They cannot have, read it because it's not big enough. They cannot have an earlier interview offer or day for sub-interns after the conclusion of the sub-internship. The SAU does not mandate that sub-interns be offered any formal interview after completion of sub-internship, and programs can rank sub-interns without using a slot in their formal interview. Many programs have sub-interns meet faculty members during the rotation and don't invite them for a formal interview. So again, I'm very particular in calling it a meeting. I don't call it an interview. And I make sure that the sub-interns understand it is not an interview. You are meeting with our faculty. So Kim, I'm going to say, I think what you guys are doing, if you're calling it an interview, and especially if they're using like a ranking form, might actually be outside what's okay to do. I'm not telling anybody that it's a problem, and it's not going to be a problem unless it is for you ever. You know, if somebody complains about it because they didn't match or something.
The
But
rank form is just for us internally to know how they would fall on our rank list.
sure. Well, and that's the thing, right? So you might just change it to meetings instead of interviews. I'm very hypersensitive to that because, again, all it takes is one person who rotated with you and didn't match. And then they say, hey, you know, we interviewed outside and they didn't consider us fairly or whatever. And, you know, it can cause a big problem. It could cause us to not be able to participate in the match the next year or something. So I choose to personally, with our program, err on the side of caution. And anytime a candidate uses the word interview, I say meeting. I always just call it a meeting. It's always a meeting. It's not an interview. So just again, and I will include this. I don't have the actual email because I wasn't the person that emailed them, but they copy pasted from the email that they got from the SAU. And we had shared this. This was way back in 2021 when this comes up because it's not real clear, you know, what's okay and what's not.
That's a good point. I should change that in my formal notification to them. That's good to know. See, I learned something today. Everybody always learns something.
There's so much, we can never know it all. It's impossible.
I know.
Truly.
All right, anything else about sub-interns?
All right, I'm gonna stop sharing my slide and y'all can feel free to ask me any questions or email me on the side if you think of something after today.
Right. So now we were going to have a discussion, let's do it kind of quick because I do want us to have some time for the breakout rooms. If people are interested in talking about new innovations or MedHub, maybe we do a show of hands because that really should let us determine how much time we want to spend talking about social media and websites. If you want to raise your hand, your little virtual hand, if you want to be able to do the breakout rooms discussing MedHub. And does anybody have 145 other than Kim?
Well, that's what I was about to say. I'm probably the only institution that even uses 145, but we've always used it. And I've been doing this job for 23 years and we've always used it for the whole 23 years. I've been here. So, you know, I don't know. I've heard a lot about other platforms that most everybody's using, but I never hear 145. So that makes me believe that we're probably the only institution that does that.
Okay, well, then we won't have that breakout room if nobody needs it. And what we can do is we can do this now. We'll do the breakout rooms. And if anybody doesn't want to do that, then they can just leave because that would be the end of the meeting. So you don't need to stay because we're not going to do anything else. That's kind of why we left it at the last. So, okay, for now, we were going to just talk about Cody and I. We're going to talk about the importance of social media and your website. And I think a lot of programs have realized this by now, but I do know that all programs are not real good with keeping up with their website. Sometimes the information there is outdated and not current. It's really important. These medical students now, they look for everything online. They know that's what they do. That's how they get their information. And so you want your website to be as current as it can be. You know, like our stipends for the 23-24 year just were released. Well, I contacted the person that maintains our website and I said, can you please update it so that now our stipends are there. So if somebody's already starting to look at our program, because they're starting to look and see what information they can find. We have all the information about our benefits. It's all in our residency section of our website, so they don't have to go searching for it. We have a lot of videos. We have videos that we had made with our program director, our associate program director. We have a resident video. We have a me video. We have some other individual videos of some of our attendings about just their practice, what they do. We have some general kind of like a general overview kind of a video. So there's a lot of content, there for them. We have a frequently asked questions page, so somebody can submit a question and get an answer, and it will be posted there. So these are things that we do get a lot of positive feedback from candidates saying there was a lot of information available on your website, and that was really helpful. I will say that at the SAU meeting, when we talked about interviews, virtual or in person, which is a whole nother day of topic of talking, but some of the residents that were there commented about things that were really helpful for them. And these are actually some things that I don't know that we have on our website, like a PowerPoint, a general overview of your program PowerPoint that shows maybe your rotation schedule, your call schedule, your case log volumes, and a life in the city PowerPoint. So something that they can look at that shows them information about your city and what they can do there. And, so basically, you imagine yourself, you've never been there, you don't know anything about it. And this person wants to come and look at something, and just see what it is, what I can do, what can I do on the weekends or whatever. So I thought those were helpful things to know that, like I say, I don't think we have all of those things on our website. Social media is also important. And trust me when I tell you, I don't deal with it. I hate it. Thank God we have somebody that does it, because I don't even think about, I don't post on my own Facebook. I mean, sometimes I'll share something, I'll hit the share button, but I won't actually like get a picture or create a post. I just never do that. Even like at Christmas, when everybody's saying, oh, here's our Christmas picture and here's what we did. I didn't post anything at Christmas on my Facebook. I just don't do that. So it's not really second nature to me. Like I say, thank goodness we have a person that does it. She tweets out things and we have a Facebook page and she'll put things on the Facebook page. I know somebody had a baby once and she asked me to post the thing about the baby and I couldn't get the picture to turn right. And she wanted me to do it and I didn't want to make her mad. So I just finally turned it with the baby, like turned sideways or whatever, because I couldn't get it to work. But the reality is that this generation, these medical students, they go on, they read Twitter, they look at Facebook. Honestly, they like Instagram. You know, Facebook is actually kind of the old people's thing. So they're not as likely to be on Facebook as they are to be on Twitter or Instagram. But, and even other things, you know, Snapchat and all the other things that there are. But so those things are important. And you almost have to find somebody who does do that as sort of like they do it in their regular life. You know, it's like something they think about doing, because I'm just not that person. So if I had to be the one doing our social media, it would just not get done because I wouldn't even think about it, you know. So you have to find, a lot of programs have residents who are pretty active on social media, and they can engage them to help put things out. Program directors a lot of times will get I know my program director does have a Twitter account, doesn't post very often. And, you know, we all try to make a big deal of it when he does, so that, you know, he feels like he's been rewarded for his post, for his tweet or whatever. But again, it is important. Even if, God forbid, we go back to in-person interviews, it's still going to be important. It's never going to not be important. So it's something that you want to think about and put some thought into, and your programs need to realize, if they don't realize, that these kids, they, you know, they buy their cars on Carvana, and they, you know, they do everything online. So we have to answer that. And to do that, we need, you know, these good beefy websites that give them a lot of information. That's the best thing I think we can do for our programs. So Cody, are you here? There you are.
Yeah, I'm here. Hey guys, I'm Cody DeSaulnier with Vanderbilt University Medical Center. If it's okay with y'all, I want to share my screen real quick. Hold on. Since Stephanie was just talking about social media, let me move this because my camera's over here. Hold on. Did I just move this? I did, didn't I? I need to go back. Okay, let me move y'all. I hate this screen sharing. Okay, so I originally have a public relations degree, so this is like what I love to do. I have my own Twitter account as the program coordinator of our program. I added this, does it say when I joined? Yeah, August 2020, when we had our first virtual match. I noticed Twitter is like huge for all of these faculty members and applicants. So I kind of just started really to go on there just to kind of see what the talk was and get a face with a name. And so pretty much I use it as advertising for a program from me on my aspect, because some things like my program director, the Twitter account's her baby. And to me, during match season, it's like a form of advertising. They get to see who you are. I don't interact with applicants. I follow the rules. But like I can see who's following me, and it shows they're interested in our program. So to me, like I can see, oh, they're so interested, they're following me. Another positive I found is, I have an embarrassing story with this. We had our virtual meet and greet open house, and I've shared like things on here you can see, because I do the PEDS fellowship too, but during the residency one, our institution is switching to Teams. So I've been using Zoom forever, and the link, for some reason, I don't know if it's because of the institutional switch, wouldn't work for our open house. So no one could get on. Everyone, like the faculty, were texting me. So luckily, because of Twitter and just resharing about our open house, I was able to recreate a last minute link and share it and blast it. So everyone popped on immediately. Because, you know, they all get Twitter notifications right away compared to an email. But the bad part about that is I quickly made that link and it make it a private link. So we had some hackers join on and somebody was doing an inappropriate matter. Right. So we have that funny story to tell. So if your med students ever talked about seeing something that wasn't, that you should see on a X-rated channel, that was with our program. So that's kind of one thing I found that has been very helpful with doing this. It's just, I feel like I would like to share more than I do, but I'm just another face and just always a reminder out there. And two, I steal pictures like for our PowerPoint slides that the residents post. There's just a lot of pros and cons to it. I don't take much of my time do it. I do a lot of like retweeting, as you can see. I don't really post anything myself other than match day. I was like, oh, T-minus 10 minutes, you know. So I highly suggest that we all have one, because I think we need to put ourselves out there, because they're all tweeting at, you know, AUA and SES AUA to share things. And like, to me during match season, I think it could be helpful along, you know, we all have to follow the guidelines. With the website, I want to say one thing I found helpful is, you know, the contact info to be accessible for each program. Like there's been many of times we've worked really closely with other programs. I know Stephanie has mentioned this too. It's just hard to find that contact info for that coordinator. But also one thing that I found very helpful is we keep a current list of all of our past residents. So even like in old files, sometimes it's easy for me just to do a control find and search someone's name. And I'm like, oh yeah, they're a resident back in 1986. I don't know, I'll stop sharing. Oh, I was gonna share too. We have our YouTube channel with videos. It's not popping up. Well, anyways. Why is that not working? I'll stop sharing. But anyways, we have videos.
I think there's some weirdness with YouTube and trying to, when you're on a Zoom meeting.
Okay, that makes sense. We've gotten big into the videos during COVID and the pandemic because, like Stephanie said, it's almost like if you're traveling, you want to see what you're getting into. And so I don't know, it's just, to me, the best thing to have the visual of your program that you really can't see on paper per se. So I'm fired up about social media and all that stuff. It's a pain, but to me, we are in this digital world where we're all having our phone in our hand 24/7. If not, you're a med student or whatnot, you have a laptop, computer, or iPad. So that's all I have to share.
Thank you,
Does anyone
Cody.
have any questions? Sorry.
Sounds like you could give a lot of us some lessons like me. How
Can I
can you teach me to want to use Twitter though?
I jump in?
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Nicole from University of Vermont. That was really great, you guys. I think you're absolutely right. I think there has been research that shows that programs that utilize social media have higher match rates, like you match higher on your rank list.
Right.
I think it's also a really important way to get across information. Like so many of us are limited in what we can put on our website. Like our institution utilizes a particular format and ours is not sexy or attractive at all. And so we're limited. So social media would be a great way to augment that. And what I have found, and I'm wondering if you guys have this at your place, is we have a marketing and communications group for the hospital, and they have been awesome to partner with and teach me, like, help me help me utilize these tools. And they've been really, really good.
Yeah, I will say going on that, our marketing, because I wanted mine to be like my Twitter name to have like VUMC or urology program coordinator VUMC, like very basic, and then have my name. But we had strict rules I had to follow. I couldn't use the Vanderbilt logo, like, so pretty much this Twitter is me, my own personally, but I use it for work. So you would have to check with your institution too on that. And so with that being your own personal, like I share like all the residents, like someone got engaged, had a baby. I do like the fun little gifts and I make it very professional, but I mainly post about like the everyday stuff that you don't see. Like I'm sure y'all all have like the little portraits. It's like a big ordeal when they graduate and you get your graduate portraits up on the wall. The graduating chiefs, they never got to see it during COVID because it took forever with lead times. And that was like the most active picture that I got liked from anybody because it was like old past residents who are at other institutions teaching now. They liked it and shared because they know the tradition and value of that. And then I don't know, I've had a lot, even too at other programs, other faculty members have found me on there to get in contact with somebody here just because they see my name out there. So I highly suggest doing it. I see Natasha, you have one too. And I know you're fired up about this, so you can chime in if you want. I just highly suggest it. Like during match, like I just kind of follow all the talk and it's fun to watch on Twitter on actual match day to see all the programs post who everyone matches. So yeah.
Yeah, and a great presentation. And I mean, I agree with that. Honestly, I hadn't touched my Twitter in years. Okay. And then even when I was doing the urology fellowship coordinating, I still wasn't really on Twitter. But once they moved me to coordinate the residency, and I realized how involved our PDs and faculty are. Okay, it's not me, like I hadn't touched Twitter in years. It's the program director, the vice chair, and these other faculty members that are posting online, not including the residents. And I was like, oh snap, like they tagged me in something when I first took over, and I was like, I should probably go through my Twitter and like clean up and delete anything that was like political, like from 2016. Okay, and so I did. I cleaned up my Twitter, I professionalized it, and I was like, I know that I'm not going to use Twitter for personal reasons. I know that from here on out, it's going to just be for professional reasons. And since, cleaning it up and putting myself out there, it's got a professional picture and everything. I have had medical students follow me who then later interviewed. And even if they didn't match, the fact that they were like already looking at the coordinator was like impressive, right? And then, we went to SAU and I posted some pics. And not only did the residency, like the PD reposted it through the residency, but the vice chair reposted it too. And then you have all these other, like Dr. Kabashi and other, faculty members from across the nation that are liking it. And so now I'm like, oh my gosh, like my face is out there on a national platform that anybody can access, and it's representing our residency. And so I think as a coordinator, it also was a little bit of uplifting too. So I think even if you're somebody who, like me, you're never going to touch Twitter unless you're doing it for something professional, I still think it's worth it to just put your face out there with your name, and you will be surprised. All of these people are looking for you. They want to connect with the coordinator, and it's a great platform to do it, So
I agree, 'cause I don't want to touch Twitter like from my personal life. I agree. And then but like my chairman always tells me, but these applicants, I want to know they're real with you. So like, we get the realness of them. So I definitely agree with that. And it's just, to me, it's just, I feel like we see a whole insight of who they really are. Like I noticed there were some applicants who made profiles just for match. And so they're advertising themselves too. So it's just, to me, an easy, free way to advertise your program. You just do it personally. I just log in maybe once a week. I'll retweet something like anyone in my program has done. Or if I'm feeling creative that day, like I'll do a cute little GIF about something. But I would love to see, I told Stephanie this, our program have our own, and during match season, like represent us as a core, like what we're looking for and communicate things. You know, that kind of thing, just because we're all on the same page and we all have the same message. So
I agree.
anybody else?
Hi, guys. I would just say that the only other thing, having been, I still teach nurses, as I said earlier, there's a very fine line, like with our no contact with applicants, and now also being brought up if there's any issues, they posted something they shouldn't have. Now that they're saying, you know, this is still a platform. If you make it your professional platform and something comes up, we're still implicated in that because we still have that relationship. And that's already happened on a legal national level. And I've had it happen with my RN students, my LVN students, and now coming into residency. The only approved platform that we understood was LinkedIn. Now we do have one here, and I signed up for Twitter again, didn't want to, but yeah, I'm concerned about the legalities and the access because they're posting both personal and professional things, our residents and even our staff. So
Right. So I'm
yeah.
glad you brought that up because so our
It's been
GME
in
office
court.
is aware of that. Yeah, our
Yeah.
GME office is aware of that. So they actually
Yeah.
created a formal social media policy that
Right.
is in place just for like trainees, right? But then
Right.
UT Southwestern also has its own institutional policy for employees. So
Yes.
it was definitely, it's put out because they obviously, those policies have been out for years. They recognized it a while ago. I think by
It's a
now
huge
a lot
fight.
of people, a
Yeah.
lot of people are aware. You're
Yeah.
probably going to get in trouble if you post something you shouldn't, right? But you know, it's out there. They have policies, and if you break those policies, then yeah, that's on you. Like, you know, they've put the boundaries out there. If you break them, then that's between you and you know, the law, I guess. You know, whether it's your institutional law or, you know,
Policy
legalities
or
beyond
national.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and I would also say
Gray.
that you should not follow anybody. In other words, they can follow you on Twitter. They can't follow you on Facebook unless you accept their friend request. I don't do that. I actually had one of our rotating sub-interns try to friend me on Facebook, and I completely ignored it. I didn't even reach out to him about it. And then after he ended up matching with us, after he matched with us, I accepted his friend request. And so once someone is our resident I have a Facebook page that is only for work. And so once they match with us, that's fine. But until then, I would never accept a friend request on Facebook. I would never follow anyone because that does give an implication of something to someone.
Exactly. And then following too. Yeah. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Trisha, your hand was up and I jumped in. I apologize.
I think her hand's been up for a while, actually. I've noticed that a while ago.
The host can lower it if the person doesn't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You should be able to click on it.
Yeah,
There you go.
it wasn't bothering me, I guess. So let's see here.
Yeah, sorry, I lowered it.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just listening. I'm new in my position, so I'm just trying to take all of it in.
Oh, we're glad you're here. So yeah, I mean, you know, again, I think we can't not do things out of fear because we're going to be behind the curve if we don't join in with the social media stuff. We just have to be sure that we have covered our bases as much as possible. And like Cody said, she never posts anything personal on her. She never tweets anything personal. You got to be just really sure that you are, you know, following all the rules. And, you know, just like, well, perfect example. We can't contact the residents after they interview with us, but they can contact us every day if they want to. And if they have a question every day, we can answer the question. But if they just contact us to say, hi, I wanted to tell you good morning and hope you have a good day, we're not supposed to say, okay, you too. We're not supposed to answer them. So we just have to, keep that in mind. I don't think it's really very much to worry about, as long as we're just making sure that we don't give them any ideas that, because, oh, I followed somebody, a program coordinator followed me, that means they really like me. And then they don't match, and then they sue you because, you gave some unfair, I ranked you really highly because I thought you really liked me or something like that.
And I will tell you, I haven't had really anyone like contact me specifically about like interviews or anything. I've had like right when registrations opens up, I start getting likes from a med student from this school. That's really about it. The only time I've had someone really contact me per se, get my email, was during that virtual open house when the link didn't work. And then we tweeted, hey, here's the new link. And then someone emailed me, hey, I can't make it anymore. I apologize. That was pretty much it, So I will say they're following the rules themselves. So, and like Stephanie said, like, I don't like a med student until I match with them, because then I want to follow them and get their pictures, because I steal their pictures for like, any PowerPoints about a program, just to show the everyday life of all them getting together and whatnot. So yeah.
All right, anything else? Anybody else? Is there any? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say that I thankfully sit like literally next to our communications officer, and I may be the only one whose department has a communication. I don't know how many of us have them. But like her and I talk like 3 times a week because there's so much information that she's getting. Like at NARIS, we had a bunch of our residents presenting. So just so she has her ears to the ground too, it's really important. They're kind of like your BFF. So her and I have developed a pretty close working relationship because she's the one that's tweeting. She's the one that's updating our LinkedIn. She's the one that's updating our YouTube. So she appreciates a lot when we communicate so that we can work together. And then when I need a favor and I need something done on the website really fast, she's in my pocket because I've kept her involved and engaged in the process.
Yeah, I agree with. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Terry.
I was going to say, I like the idea of reaching out to our marketing team, because I'm like Stephanie. I don't tweet. I don't do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So it sounds like I need an education. So maybe I should reach out to them and get an education.
Yeah,
maybe they can help me.
Yeah, I definitely rely on them. I kind of got more active in it whenever ours is a man, and he doesn't really. He gets lazy with it sometimes. So I'll have him create like an image, and that's just me. From my background from school, I'm a very picture artsy person. And so I'll make him the little slide tweet image and then have him do it for us on our actual program one. So I just feel like even if you have maybe that person make you account with your name and they do it for you, that'd be kind of cool. I just think it's nice to have your face out there. With website stuff, I'm constantly like, hey, here's the match dates. Here's this, please post this. Here's our updated rotation schedule to put, that kind of thing. Because that's just too much work to me to do all that stuff. Well, I don't know if legally you can have someone else be you though. So maybe not. That's just maybe, or just create your own Twitter and just retweet. I can't say that word. Retweet what your program is doing. You don't even have to, but at least you're out there and they see your face. It doesn't take much. So maybe for your personal one, I went and do that, but that's an option. That's all I got. So thank you.
Anything else? Anybody else? Any general, anything that you wish we had talked about and we didn't, feel free to either let us know if it's something we can talk about quickly, we can talk about it. If not, we can add it to, a future meeting.
Stephanie, how
Um,
about continuity binders? For those of us when we don't get to left seat, right seat, or train with someone, our predecessors. I know you guys have been so awesome with your Google Drive and sharing those kinds of documents and your residency program handbooks and things like that. I'm definitely going to benchmark some of those, but do we as a group have continuity? Does anybody have like a continuity binder you can pull off the shelf along with that, because I use that ACGME timeline that we talked about at SAU. That was been great, but obviously it doesn't cover any really the depth and breadth of what we do. But do we have something like that for the group? Has anybody made one of their own?
No, I mean, I have a whole lot of information, a lot more information than I had when I got here. That
Exactly.
when I leave, but it's not like any kind of order. It's just like they're going to have to go into the file and they're going to have to look for, they can do a search. That's the beauty of digital filing. You can search for the word, you can find self-study, or you can find site visit, or you can find evaluations or whatever, and you can pull up all those documents that exist there. And I have a few how-tos that I've done mostly for myself for things that I don't do very often. It is important when you're new to do that, because especially in this job, there are things you will only do once, maybe twice a year, and you will not remember how to do it.
Exactly.
You will forget.
Yeah,
So
like
just
what
count
Cindy
on it.
said, or I think it was Cindy, if I get hit by a bus, somebody can just pull off the shelf. Yeah, that's
Right.
great if anybody's willing to
So,
share theirs. So I
yeah,
don't have to I
I
won't
don't
rebuild
have a
one.
book, but I have a lot of documents, and I feel like someone coming in after me will have a lot better start than I did,
Yeah.
because I just got documents were everywhere on the whole drive. They weren't filed in any kind of,
I feel yeah.
there was a
Yeah.
folder with one document in it, a whole folder with a document, only one in it. And I was like, who does this? There's only one document. You
Well,
don't put that in a folder.
yeah, and I mean, there's phrases, even though you get exposure to some of the acronyms and phrases, like you said, you don't hear them all the time. So you can't even search for a word because you don't know what word that they're using, and someone's using a different word. So yeah, if anybody on the Google Drive wants to share their got hit, what was it called? Who was it said got hit by a bus folder? That was awesome.
Bus.
Yeah, that's outstanding.
Yeah. I just recently started at the Johns Hopkins doing this, and the person that was there before me has been gone for 6 months. And there's literally no one training me. So I started actually a PowerPoint slide training manual with screenshots and step-by-step instructions for if you go into new innovations, this is where you go to get this document, or this is where you go to get that document. I do that with every job I've ever had, just because of, like you said, if you're walking into something and there's no one there, it's nice. I've passed that along in several positions I've had, where the next person can come in and tweak it, but it's also for, as she said, got hit by a bus. I used to be a peds ortho coordinator, and I ended up in the hospital, but I had created one of those. So I had coworkers that could walk in and go, oh, I can take care of the important stuff, not, some of the other stuff that could wait, but just like what was super important that had to be done on a day-to-day basis. They had step-by-step instructions with pictures on how to do it.
Well, and as I say, the best time to do that is to do it when you're new. Because once you've been here a while, you forget the things you didn't know, and you know them. And so you don't even think about those steps. And so when you're new, you don't know anything. And that's the best time to create those kind of things.
And it's very easy on PowerPoint to search, because you can just do Control-Alt-Find and put in a word, even if it's an acronym, because I reference the acronym and then what it stands for, so that if anyone searches on either one, it's going to pull it up.
Anything else? Are we ready to move on to new innovations and MedHub? Or do we
Quick
want?
bio break,
A what?
bathroom breaks. We do like a quick 5-minute bio.
Sure, quick, because my husband is bugging me to pick me up what time I'm gonna be done, so.
Well, don't wait on me. I was offering for
Some stuff
everybody.
To do at home, of course, this afternoon. It has to be this afternoon. It can't be, tomorrow. It has to be today. So yeah, just go, we'll move into the breakout rooms for the people who want to. And then when you come back, you can just put yourself into one of them, I guess.
Thank you.
should be able to, because I set them up so that, you can just choose a room. And if you don't want to go into a room, then you can just leave. So Denise, you'll go into the MedHub room. Nobody's going into 145, including Kim, I'm sure. And then I'll go into the new innovations room. And let me just preface it with, I'm definitely not a new innovations expert. I've been working in it though for 6.5 years. So I feel like I should know a lot about it, but it's a doozy of a program. So anyway, I'll open the rooms now. Thank you all. If you're not going to do that, for coming. We will be posting these on the YouTube channel. I'll post a message on the group as soon as that's done. And I will send out an email in a little bit with those documents that I talked about sending out. All righty.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you. Thank everyone.